Helps a man
Hello, everybody.
go down.
I'm Matt Connerton. This is Mary Poppins here on Rock, Paper, and Grenades, also known as the Honorable Gary S. Hopper. You got a lot of moxie, Gary.
Thanks, Matt.
You see what I did there?
Yeah, moxie, you know, because beer is for those sissies who can't handle moxie, Matt.
That's
I'm
right.
telling you.
Since 1884.
Right.
A Maine drink.
Yes.
Maine, yeah.
Yes, it is.
Made
Yes.
in Maine for
Right.
maniacs.
That's right.
That's how they got the name Maniac, is from drinking moxie.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
It
so
seems
it's a
fitting.
pretty well-known fact that I just made up.
Yeah, good.
Former representative, the Honorable John Hikel's with us.
Hey,
this
Gary,
evening.
Matt, how you doing?
Good. Good.
So anyway, before we get started on politics, I was very, very upset. Across the street from here is the Cross Insurance Building. I had to go in and get paperwork for a friend that needed counseling on whatever road, street that is. Well, I parked in back of the Cross Building because there's parking space, and there was no parking space over near the building where the counselors are. I mean, they've got like 8 spots or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I looked, okay, so I went in, I was in there for 5 minutes. It was already on a freaking tow truck by the time I got out.
Whoa.
Really?
5 minutes. I'm seriously about 5 minutes.
That's incredible.
Oh no, it's a scam. The freaking little scums, what they do is they get all the cameras in back,
Yeah.
right? He texts the guy in the tow truck, come get him.
Wow.
$110 or 130, I think it was, if I let him tow it up all the way back.
Wow.
So I had to scramble over to an ATM and get $120 out or whatever it was.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
When I was in
It
Nashville,
is an absolute freaking scam.
My
And
understanding-
the thing is, it bothers me, is at least I can afford it. The people that are going into that building, okay, they're people
Right.
at the, they're
they
not.
may never get their car back.
Yeah, they'll never
Right.
get
And
the
nobody
car back.
cares.
Nobody
Right.
gets, no.
Because the tow truck company will keep it, they'll sell it,
And
they'll put a
don't
lien
know
on
if,
it.
I don't know if Cross Insurance knows it. I don't know if it's the guy sitting there monitoring those
Is there a
cameras.
sign? There must be
There
a
is
sign.
a sign, but it's not all that obvious.
And what does it say, do you know?
It says no parking.
Okay, but
maybe
normally
towed.
I thought they were supposed to put a notice on the vehicle and give, I don't know, 30 minutes. There needs to be some sort of time. It isn't just you park here.
It was the first time I ever did that or parked there, and they didn't like put something on that says, "Hey, if you
It
do this
doesn't
again,
seem
we're going
like
to tow you."
Yeah, it doesn't seem like enough time had gone by.
It was 5 minutes.
I would dispute that with. Actually, I'd go. Well, it's a private parking lot. Geez, I don't know who would you.
So what I suspect is one of two things: either Cross Insurance, whoever runs it, is a dirtbag, A, or B, the guy sitting there monitoring the cameras has a freaking deal going on with the tow truck.
Could be.
And he's just like, oh, there's another, he gets kickbacks.
Could be.
I would never say an insurance company is a scumbag.
It is run by scumbag.
Well,
You might think it, but you wouldn't say it.
yeah,
I
I
wouldn't
would.
say it.
Right.
Right.
Oh, I will.
Yeah.
I will.
One might surmise, but
It really, when you're going in to
Yeah.
help people out. and
It's
you-
terrible.
When you're trying to do your best to help people out, which, I do that.
You ought to read the statute. There's probably a statute on that someplace in Concord, an RSA, and there may even be a town ordinance that one of the aldermen in Manchester could clear that up for you.
Yeah.
Because there may be a law against that. There is a procedure. You can't just hook up a car that parks in a wrong spot instantly.
Right.
That I know of. You used to couldn't do that. I don't know if you can now.
You
but
used to couldn't do that?
You used to couldn't. I was from Maine.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We already discussed that.
We didn't have grammar.
No.
We had grammar.
We had grammar. That was it. Yeah. Anyway, so that was my venting for today. That really aggravated me.
yeah, I don't blame you.
If I had
Right.
just, I don't know,
I
whatever.
don't blame you.
Yeah.
I'd be furious and protest. There you go. Why don't we go
Oh.
protest?
Oh yeah, I know. That's what I took.
I was thinking of protesting this weekend, but I had to work.
Oh yeah,
I know, it gets in the way of everything.
I know. That's horrible.
Right.
Why can't? See that's just it. If we're gonna have protesting like they had, they were all gone today. By the way, I drove by town hall to see if the morons are still there, and if they're going to have protests, they should make it equal opportunity. In other words, pay you as a private citizen to, take time off from work so you can go counter-protest.
There were protests locally?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
they're
down
all
in front
over
of
in
the town hall.
Manchester. They were here, big numbers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I would have come, but I had to work.
That's what I mean. If they're going to have, if they're going to allow those
I have
people-
nothing to protest. Trump won.
No, there was a counter-protest across the street you could have joined.
That would be a contest.
Oh, yeah. It is a contest. He's right.
I see what you did there.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So that was the other side of the street.
So anyway, Matt, so you've been eating a lot of crow. I
Yeah.
remember before the election, this guy, all the way up until the election,
Oh, yeah.
And I was
Well-
nice to him throughout the entire election season, just
Yes.
listening, going, "That's
let
mad."
it go, let it go.
Right, but I really like this guy, so
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I mean, I didn't support
I don't
Hillary.
have to be fair.
I didn't support Hillary. I just predicted she would win.
You
Right.
predicted, yes, but you said, and this is an exact quote.
You
Trump-
don't have the memory for exact quotes.
No, I
Come on.
don't. But
Yeah, exact quote. Okay.
Okay.
We'll see.
so,
but I'm glad we're feeling happy. I
Yeah.
can tell you that,
oh yeah,
because
but
I
no-
wouldn't want to have felt the other way.
I wouldn't have wanted to go up. And
I wouldn't want to
protest.
be the ones on the ground crying that night.
Yeah.
I'm keeping an
Hey,
open mind.
What's the deal with a safety pin?
I would have
anyway?
taken a day off. I would have needed a day off from work. I would have probably still been off from work.
Right. Oh yeah. So anyway, eating crow.
Yes.
Your exact quote was Trump is in it just to as kind of a lark so that he can start his television to get ratings up so he can start his own television show.
Well, when he originally got in,
Right,
I
right.
didn't know if he was serious or if this was to kind of negotiate with NBC, to raise his profile because he was still doing The Apprentice
Right.
in the beginning. So I don't know.
I know. I'm just saying.
But I don't
was
think-
that an exact quote
Oh, I had said that. Yeah.
see?
No, I was skeptical,
once in a row.
but I don't know if
But you were still thinking that right up until the election, though. You
I-
still thought he was not really serious.
I wasn't sure. Yeah, I wasn't sure because look, I'll admit it. I've been wrong about a lot of things.
No.
I was wrong about the election. I admit it. And another thing I was wrong about was I thought that if Trump really wanted to win, he should dial it back and kind of tone down some of the rhetoric, and he would have a better shot. Well, I was wrong about that.
Because he was telling us exactly who he was.
Yeah.
Everybody knew who he was. The insults, the remarks, all that stuff didn't matter. It
Yeah.
didn't take anybody away from him as much as the media, which was the biggest problem of this whole thing. And
Yeah,
which
and
I believe news is just an indoctrination. It's just a programming of what somebody wants us to know
Yeah.
or think.
Well, big
but
media
really
is all corporate owned.
It has
Yeah.
no validity at all anymore. I think news and media is anything that they do is not valid anymore to me.
Yeah, I know that the Google and Facebook and I think what's the other one where everybody texts each other? What is
Twitter?
it? Twitter,
Trump's favorite.
Trump's favorite. A few of those groups are getting together and saying they're going to crack down on fake news sites. So I responded to that. I said, that's a great idea. You might as well get rid of CNN, NBC,
All of them.
MSNBC. Because
All of
most
them.
of the stuff they publish is all BS. Did you see what they did today? Big news story. Biggest news story ever. Donald Trump, and this, I kind of agree with him. This is horrific that Donald Trump did this. He's just getting started, and the most horrible thing he's ever done in his life. He had dinner without telling the news people ahead of time.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, I saw that.
MSNBC was all upset, and everybody was all
Right.
upset because they weren't warned.
They're making billions off of this. They've made, I think there was $1 or $2 billion in advertising money that was paid this time, which is record numbers.
Yeah.
Most of it was from Hillary.
And most of it was from Hillary.
Yeah.
I think Trump got most of his advertising as news, because
Right.
the media they couldn't get away from him.
Well, see, that's why I've never quite agreed with the narrative that the media was against him, because to me it's because, like you said, I mean, they've made a lot of money off of Trump, So to me, it's kind of a symbiotic relationship. Doesn't mean they're sympathetic to him, but I've never felt like they were against him in that if he's constantly feeding them something to report on, because Hillary was very boring during the campaign. Hillary didn't give a whole lot of, she didn't do a lot of press conferences. She didn't talk to the media once. She tried to play it very safe, whereas Trump put himself out there and was actually accessible to the media.
I think if you interpreted what Trump supporters heard from CNN, Megyn Kelly, CNBC, NBC, CBS, and every other network, I think if you interpreted it the way that we heard it, you would think that they disliked him greatly and didn't do anything to help him.
Yeah, you would think they were out to get him.
And most of Fox also. I think there was, he had world leaders. He had the Prince of Saudi Arabia, which is several princes, but I don't think any of them liked him. He had world leaders coming out and people in England.
Oh,
the mayor of London.
Yeah.
What do we care about what the mayor of London thinks?
Right.
Yeah, but
really?
that was still newsworthy, theoretically. It was
To them.
We saw it in the news, so therefore it must be to the NBC or CBS or whoever.
Yeah.
I mean, because to me, that's one of the biggest things about this, is you had, and those sources you're talking about are, and it's funny because Obama's now openly talking about it. He said it today.
In
About
Greece? Oh, wait,
no,
he's someplace
it might have been in Greece, but
somewhere overseas.
anyway, he's talking about globalism. Okay, they never talked about that before because that was like a.
You'd never even hear him use that word. Or Hillary.
He used that today.
Right.
Yeah, I was surprised by that.
Globalism.
Well,
okay?
he wants to be the next leader of the
UN.
Of the UN.
But he's talking about globalism finally, which is one of, I think I said that probably a month or two ago, that to me this election is coming up against globalism versus nationalism.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think necessarily everybody understands that, but that to me was the biggest part of the election.
Yeah.
And so you had all the globalists, which are all these people saying bad things about Trump. You had most of the news, the traditional news sources, attacking him on almost anything he said or lying about. Like, remember the one about him insulting the cripple guy? That wasn't true, but it was said as if it was true. You remember the news report where he said that he was going to run as a Republican because he know those people are stupid enough to buy it? Mm-hmm. That was never true.
Right.
So there's all these stories that people still hate
That's
Trump
why he
about.
called the media the lying scumbag kind of. He used at all of his events. He'd say, pan your cameras on the crowd, show who's really here,
Right.
Instead of reporting that nobody showed up.
Yeah,
show the 20,000 people that did.
Yeah.
Well, at a certain point, it became undeniable.
Yeah.
The crowds he was drawing toward the end were so enormous that
he was just ragging on the media from day one. I mean, I was with him since January of 2015. That's when I met him.
Yep.
And we first met, and
was that the event at Stepanak's
yes.
house? Okay, yeah, I was there.
December, January, February, whatever that was that's when I first met him.
Yeah, Jen and I were there for
and
that.
I have the picture that I told him. I said, "You're the one. I'll support you, 100%, and I'll see you at the finish line." And somebody snapped a picture at that moment.
Yeah.
And he's pointing his finger at me, saying, "You're on. You're with me."
It's a great pic. Yeah.
I thought it was awesome, and I was there with him constantly. Some mornings I'd wake up and go, "Oh boy," when you're hearing when Facebook is lighting up all night, and you wake up with 100 or 200 posts on something, and you're going, "Geez, what did he say this time?"
Right.
And then you heard it, and you go, "Well, he's still better than any of the other 17 in the primary, and he's going to be better than any Democrat." So I stuck with him through everything.
How many times do you recall them coming out with this news story, like, for instance, the reporter that was disabled, where you said you
well, what is that video, though, then, if it's not that? Because there is video of him. He seems to be doing what...
Oh, yeah, he was mocking him.
Yeah.
But he uses the same expression to mock about 5... If you look at it...
Yeah, why was he doing this with his hands, then, when
he does that? He does that, too. Nope. There's other videos of him mocking other people exactly the same way.
Okay.
And the fact is, he didn't know he was disabled.
Okay.
He didn't remember who this guy was. So, yes, he was mocking him, but it wasn't because he was disabled. It was because of something he wrote.
Okay.
I like the look of disbelief in your eyes. But how many times do you think that there was stories like that came out, like that hit Facebook? Oh, Trump did this. This is a game
All the time,
changer.
constantly. Everything.
And then you check into it and find out, nope, that's not what he did.
Right, or somebody got paid to say it, or it was fake, or it was a lie, or
Just the example of all the people Hillary was paying to show up at Trump rallies to cause fights,
Right.
and make it look like Trump's people were violent.
right, and
That was all fake news.
all the money they were paying people to go to Hillary's rallies,
I
so
like
she would
that.
have more people there.
Yeah, I think that's the chasm. If you look at the liberal left news media, they would show up at those rallies for Hillary and try to film it so it looked like there was more people than there were there.
Right.
They'd show up at the Trump rallies and try to narrow down the field so that it didn't look like there was as many people as.
Right.
So yeah, they were.
I mean, I was
against
with
Trump.
him right from the very beginning, and I'd go to those rallies, and I'd walk 10, 15 minutes along the line, and the building is full. When we were just doing in New Hampshire,
Yeah.
when you'd go to these places, New Hampshire doesn't have very large capacity places. I mean, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000. So he had school buildings, every like cafeterias, the gyms, everything was just full. And he would do one, and then he'd go around after he finished one, he'd go do another one.
Yeah.
And and there were thousands of people that weren't getting into these. And I went to a couple out of state, and down where there's a lot of people, and you're talking 15, 20, 30,000 people.
Yeah.
I knew it was a movement very early, and I couldn't. And even before he declared, we had done several events, and it was
Right.
just amazing every time, because nobody could bring crowds like that.
Yeah.
No other candidate in the primary could even come close to it.
Well, actually, I think at the event at Stepanak's house, I think he hadn't declared at that point, had he? I think that was right before. Because, see, I was skeptical.
That was quite a bit before.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
before the First in the Nation in Nashua.
Yeah.
Which was I'm trying to think. I was with him since January. I think I met him. That was the first time I met him, whenever
Okay.
that was.
Yeah.
But I believe it was a mild winter day. I
Yeah.
believe.
Yep.
I think I had a hat. Yeah.
Because I remember Jen and I went, and I remember being skeptical early on because he kept saying this thing where he would go, I haven't made a decision yet, but I think some of you are going to be very pleased with
Right.
the decision that I make. And why I was skeptical about it was because I remembered him saying that 4 years earlier.
Right.
He kept using that same line, so I thought, oh, he's saying this before, and then he actually got in. I was surprised.
Well,
I was surprised.
he knew it, but he doesn't want. He's a great showman. I mean, he is
Yeah.
a master of getting. He's a master of media,
Yep.
and he's a great showman. So he knew how to get people interested, but not give them an answer.
Right,
and that's
right.
the key to his success.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this at the way that they're choosing people to be part of the cabinet and been in his administration, and I'm wondering, I don't want to bring up Apprentice, but I'm looking at it like, he may treat some of these well-respected, big-name people, and he may give them a job, but he's going to expect it's not going to be any messing around. I'm wondering what he'll do when somebody, hey, I told you to go talk to the leader of this country. I told you what you tell him. I told him what to do, and you didn't do it. You're fired. I mean, I don't think he's going to pull any punches with anybody.
Right.
And no matter how.
Well, he's known for his loyalty, though, too, right? So he might.
He's known for his loyalty, but I don't think he's going to. I don't think he puts up with crap from somebody loyal that doesn't do what they say they're going to do.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think he may. I think he's really about keeping your word,
Getting the job done.
getting the job done, because that's really all it is.
Right.
It's not about liking you or friends or anything. It's about, you go to work for him. I don't think there's much wiggle room with messing up.
I was reading something online. I can't remember the woman's name. Someone who used to work for him years ago who said that he doesn't. It's not like the impression that you get on The Apprentice. He doesn't personally enjoy firing people, is what she was saying.
I don't think he
it's
does
not
either.
something
Who
he
does?
relishes.
But but he's now the president of the United States.
Yeah.
It's a whatever notch he was at, this is a whole nother level of responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
And he's taking it serious. And he sat kind of in awe. I mean, he looked like he was in awe speaking with Obama. Obama was cool, and he had control of that when he was sitting with him. And Trump was sitting back, and he was looking at it. I'm sure he was learning as much as he could. But when he walks away, the guy is ready for that job. He's
Well,
ready to administer.
I said it. I
government.
don't know if I said it last week, but to me, when I saw all that interaction, I felt like it was. Remember the first time you ran for office and you win,
Yeah.
and you go, "Oh, now what?"
Right. I didn't know what I didn't
Right?
know what it was.
You
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, because you don't really know what's entailed.
That's what it looked like to me too. Like the expression on Trump's face, kind of like, I'm sure this has got to be overwhelming to him.
Has to be.
Even if he expected to win. I mean, it's got to be.
He's not a superhuman.
He
Right,
understands.
exactly.
He understands what he has.
Yeah.
I don't think it's overwhelming to him. I think he handled. I think he's,
I think.
I
what
think
he's
he
saying-
knows exactly what he's involved
fought,
with.
He fought his butt off. I mean, because he did what
He won.
10 times more work than Hillary ever thought of doing.
I've never seen a candidate
I
work
can't
that hard.
imagine anybody doing that.
He was doing three, four events, jumping his plane. He'd go someplace, jumping his plane, 2 or 3 in a day.
Yeah.
and then,
several
and then
times,
that night of the election, all the pundits are saying, "Oh, it's all over," and you know, it's done. He's done.
Right.
I hope he gets this out of his system because this is embarrassing. Then as the night unfolds, it's like, oh, wait a second, And so by the next day or so, I think he's just almost crashing from all, not crashing, but you know what I mean, like. It's
Oh, yeah.
He's got to be human,
Right.
I think.
The day after the election, win or lose, I mean, is a relief. It's a relief, either a happy relief or a sad relief.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking about that last week on the show. I was saying how can you imagine what it's like to lose a presidential election, to be that close to being leader of the free world, to have it within your grasp and have it slip away, and what a mind effing that must be.
Right.
Especially when you're told all.
Right, like
You're told the whole time it's a shoe-in.
You're
You're going to
good,
win.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
chill
we'll
out.
take care of it. Yeah,
Right.
this guy's not going to win.
You don't even have to show up for press conferences.
Right.
This is so
Yeah.
easy.
I was trying to imagine what she was saying after she realized that she had lost and wasn't giving her concession speech or,
Yeah.
thanking her supporters and all the volunteers.
Yeah.
I was wondering what she was saying for that hour
there's
or
probably
day.
bogus reports, but I've heard some horrible things. But I
I
don't know if they're
can't
real.
imagine she would be taking it well.
No.
You heard what she was saying to the Secret Service people that were working, that were just protecting her, how she would treat them. I mean,
Right.
it made,
Really?
it made, what's that show that they used to have, that woman that got kidnapped, and it was a movie. She was a dignitary, and her husband was a past president, I think, and
Regarding Tess? No.
Tess.
Is that
Tess, that one. The
Okay.
one they buried her, and they buried her alive.
with
and her-
Nicolas Cage?
Yeah, with Nicolas Cage.
Okay, regarding Tess, yeah.
Regarding Tess.
Yep.
What a great movie, but she was no peach, and I can imagine Hillary is just
Yeah.
her on steroids.
Well, especially after all she's been through. I mean, when you think about it, sticking by Bill Clinton through all those various humiliations and whatnot, and
She can get a divorce now.
right, it's time
Bill-
to call it. Yeah.
Bill-
He's probably, not to be mean, but he's probably going to drop dead before too long. I mean, have you seen him and listened to him? He is clearly not well.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
screwed her up a few times, tripped her up.
Oh yeah.
But she stood by her man, because I think she had another. I think it just looked better for her to be.
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
either one of them really care about the marriage. As
This is a
much as-
business.
I don't think
business
they care about
relationship, yeah.
them.
Pretty much.
I don't think so, but who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I listened to it's an old one, but it was I posted on Facebook of the business dealings of Hillary and Bill in Little Rock, and the drug dealing and stuff like that.
ooh.
It's horrible. And
White-
they
White
cover
water.
up
Oh my
Whitewater.
God.
They covered that up. They covered up a lot of stuff.
Right.
So her covering up for her
Emails and
Emails and stuff.
Benghazi and everything.
she covers up everything.
Right. she's done. I mean, she's flip her over. I think this one's done. And
Yeah.
yeah, this one's done.
I hope so. I hope she goes to jail personally. If a quarter of what we have been informed of by WikiLeaks and all this other stuff is true, just a quarter of it.
I hope
think
justice
she
is
should-
served
I do, because not because
as
I want
others
revenge,
would be treated. Yes,
but because everybody should be under the same law regardless of how wealthy you are.
correct.
Well, from what Trump said, though, during the 60 Minutes interview, it doesn't sound like he has any appetite for it.
Well, he doesn't sound like he's going to put a special prosecutor on.
Yeah.
But it's really not up to him. It's up to the attorney general.
There's also
whether or not he wants to prosecute and go forward.
Yeah.
There's also the big variable is that he's a good businessman. You don't get where he is without
Right.
being a very good businessman.
Right.
If you're a very good businessman and you're in a position where you're closing a deal,
Mm-hmm.
but you really don't have all the cards in your hand yet,
Mm-hmm.
what do? Stay cool.
Yeah, you
Stay
don't.
calm.
You don't.
You don't tell him what you're going to play.
You don't talk.
You don't talk. So right now, he is not in a position to do anything.
No.
Right?
He's putting
He
his
can't-
he's putting his cards together.
He's putting his cards
yeah.
together.
Right.
He's getting the deck ready.
He's dealing his deck.
He's
Right.
he knows what his cards are. I think right now he's trying
Yeah.
to figure out what kind of leverage he has in the Congress and stuff like that, and who's
Mm-hmm.
going to play with him, play ball, who's going to try to stab him in the back.
Right.
He's going through all this stuff. So between now and January 20th,
Right.
he is going to just play it low. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm take cool. But once he's sworn in, I think that's when we'll know. Because I don't think he's stupid enough to say, "Oh yeah, we got to go after her." What's that going to do with all the protests?
I don't think he. I think he has bigger fish. I think he has bigger things to take care of right
I
now
do. I
than
agree.
concentrating on Hillary. He beat her. She's sitting over here now. He
Yeah.
needs to take care of some serious things. He only has 2 months, less than 2 months, to get everything ready.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with that too. I
So,
think
you know.
he's got bigger fish to fry. But I also think if he intends to appoint an attorney general that does prosecute her,
If that attorney general feels that he has enough evidence to indict, it's up to him.
you heard the latest is theoretically Ted Cruz is being asked to.
I saw
he was,
that.
He
Fill
was
that
with him
position?
this morning. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
That'd be bizarre.
It would be bizarre, but if he's qualified, if he can do it, Trump's going to surround himself with the right people.
Wasn't Cruz an attorney general before in Texas?
Yeah,
He's argued in front of the Supreme Court, I think more than once.
he
Yeah, that's right too.
Yeah.
yeah. There's another name they call him down there, and I can't think. It wasn't
Oh.
the attorney general. It was some other name they use in Texas. I believe
Oh.
it wasn't. It didn't sound like
Something
attorney
advocate, maybe?
general. Nope.
Devil's advocate?
No, that's
No,
different.
that's different.
Yeah, there was another term that they used in Texas. That's a good one to Google because it's not
Yeah.
attorney general, but it was the same. It's the same level.
Same position,
Same
basically.
position.
Just different name. Yeah.
I got to look it up now. I'm curious.
Right.
So what do you think of the big takeaways from? What are your big things you were shocked about in this election?
I was 110% with Trump every day from the first time I told him I would be, and I stuck with him through thick and thin. I was with him every time he was in New Hampshire. I mean, it was great the times that that I was walking next to him through crowds when we did, let's say, Keene or some of the others in the beginning.
Yeah.
And got to talk with him, sit with him at the table, sit with him, walk through the crowds, get to wait with him and ask him questions about, what do you hear about the economy? What do you hear about markets? What do you hear about things happening? Because, I mean, he's his finger's on the pulse of everything. So, I got the most out of it I could. And honestly, as a businessman myself, who else could I look up to? And I know a lot of folks say, well, how could you look up to that guy? But boy, put everything else aside, he's a brilliant businessman. He's a great family man. Look at his children. I mean, he's got a wonderful family.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done it his way. And
You just talk about his family because his daughter had a bracelet on at the 60 Minutes interview. So one of the people, her staff or whatever, posted it because it's part of her jewelry line or whatever. I don't know. I don't know.
Ivanka.
Yeah, Ivanka.
Ivanka's jewelry
And
line.
next thing you know, the press is all over that. Oh no, she's like, jeez.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Oh yeah. So I forget whether it was like a front. It was a
Good
front
for
page.
her. These people are, he gave them. They're fortunate enough to have the right, to have a great start.
Yeah.
And none of them are a problem. None of them seem to be, not
Donald
even
Jr.
one.
looks awfully angry, though, doesn't he? Donald Jr.
Really?
I think he looks angry.
Which one? The little kid?
No, he's one of the adults, the really dark-haired one.
yeah.
He just looks like a really angry person. I'm not saying that he is.
I think
he's
they're
just-
serious. I mean, they're not.
Yeah.
They're serious. They've got a big empire and a big business to fool around with. And I don't think the father would treat them much different than anybody else that messes up. And I think when they're punched in, they got to perform.
Yeah.
And they may have to perform 24/7.
Right.
I mean, they have to put their best foot forward all the time.
Well, that's what I've read. It's like
I don't
working
think the
for,
father.
for Trump is you got to be on the job 24/7.
I think
like
so.
he is because
right.
he only sleeps 4 hours a night
Right.
allegedly.
Right.
It's a hard act to follow
Yeah.
to try to emulate.
Yeah.
Would you find out?
Oh yeah, they call it Attorney General.
Okay.
So
In Texas, really.
in Texas, yeah, they
He
may
was-
not have always, but the current Texas,
I thought it was called the prosecutor.
Prosecutor General?
No.
What you're saying sounds familiar. I think maybe there's a step below Attorney General. Maybe that's what you're thinking of. Whatever they call that position.
He would have to
Solicitor General.
That okay.
That's what they call them. Solicitor General. And hey, that was good because I didn't get it on this. I remembered it, which
Yeah.
is cool because
I couldn't find it,
Sometimes
so
you have
that
to
is
get things.
Sometimes it works.
that what I remember, Solicitor General, right?
Right.
But that's what his
Okay.
title was in there, and I believe that's a similar position to an Attorney General.
part
Well,
of
I know that
AG's
Clinton's
office.
always had a Solicitor General, but it was soliciting other things, I think.
Bill Clinton?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like in Arkansas when he had the state troopers soliciting for him?
Solicitor Generals, yes.
Solicitor Generals. Right?
Slick
Yes.
Willie.
Slick Willie.
So what else can we talk about? We're a lucky nation. We've got the right man in that position. And,
Yeah,
and
I
you know
think-
what? If he isn't, we'll know it, and we'll do something different. I'm hoping he's going to be great. I'm watching futures, building materials, infrastructure. Those kind of companies right now are ramping up for a big next couple of years.
Oh
or
yeah,
several years.
I think that election is huge just by the change in attitude
right.
of the American people. If they see hope in the future, they're willing to take their money out and start buying stuff.
Right.
If they see that, oh no, we're going to have another 8 years of continued decline, they got to hold that whatever they do have tight.
I got a feeling they're going to see some great times, and I'd like to see money that we spend around the world reduced, if not eliminated. Maybe you can't. Maybe we have to help countries that are our friends. Maybe we have to. I
I
mean,
mean,
maybe
and-
we don't. Maybe we
yeah.
can have Maybe we can have countries producing enough materials where they can support
Well, you-
their own military and
Well,
their
you've
own
got
infrastructure.
countries like Japan, South Korea, Germany. These are some of the biggest industrial. I mean, they're not quite in comparison to us,
Right.
but they're very well-to-do countries.
Right. And
There is
we
no
are
reason-
their military.
Yeah, and that's not reasonable. I mean, I can
I
understand
agree.
why we might have to subsidize it. Like, in other words, obviously they can't probably afford, an aircraft carrier or whatever else.
Right.
And we can support that, but we shouldn't have to, we shouldn't have
They
still...
should be paying us to protect them.
Well, if they're part of NATO, they're supposed to be anyway, which I know that's something Trump brought up at one point.
And he's right. I mean, NATO
rethinking
is
NATO.
basically the United States and England, I think. Isn't it, mostly?
Well, yeah, the
As
US
far
and
as
Europe
the
and
force behind NATO.
I forget how many countries are in NATO now.
A
at
lot
this
of countries in NATO, and they should be contributing to their own defense if they need
point.
it.
Yeah,
and it's not reasonable for
But
the
we've been
United
doing
States
that,
taxpayer
right. They've been sucking the money and the life out of this country for
for a
100
long
years.
time.
Right. So
Yeah.
we've been doing everything, and Mr. Trump just wants to stop that and change it. And there's a lot of other areas. I mean, the Middle East is. I'm afraid President Obama is going to just leave Trump a major problem that's going to last his entire presidency in the Middle East. But I think Mr. Trump can handle that.
I think he could too, because
But-
I think that's one of the they said for the Secretary of State they're thinking of Bolton. What's his first name?
Oh yeah, John Bolton.
John Bolton.
I'm a little concerned about him.
And somebody
actually.
said, well, that if he appoints him, Bolton is kind of more like Hillary Clinton than
he's a
Trump is.
he's a neoconservative. Yeah,
'Cause
as
he
is
is,
Hillary.
he is an interventionist, which is
that
one
worries
reason
me.
people really like Trump.
Right.
Is that he's not an interventionist. He says, no, if we're trying to kill ISIS, let's work with Russia, kill them, get out.
Right.
Done. You
Yeah.
know, don't.
John Bolton concerns me.
Yeah, so if John Bolton's willing to bend to, because I like that kind of foreign policy. I think you also have to be wise about it, because there's things Russia's doing, because it's a big chess game.
Yeah.
And
It
so
has been for a long time.
And so you have to be aware of that, but you can't be fighting everything,
Right.
or
Right.
as Hillary and Obama did, destabilizing everything.
I mean, look how many places our military is in around the world.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's what we do. That's
Right.
what we are. And Israel has a purpose. The Vatican has a purpose. England has a purpose. You know, on these free world kind of countries.
Mm-hmm.
So we are the military power of the world.
Yeah.
And for a reason. We've got a big moat around us. So we
can afford to be,
and we can afford to be, right.
right?
We're the industrial nation of the world.
I know that there's a concern that if we pull back too much, some people say that that will embolden Putin and more incursions into places like Ukraine and whatnot. So I guess there's a balance there. But I do prefer, some of what Trump said. For example, Hillary wanted to put a no-fly zone over Syria, which I thought was a horrific idea and a potential flashpoint for World War III, frankly. And Trump said that's a stupid idea. So I appreciate. I hope that Trump. And that's why somebody like John Bolton concerns me, because John Bolton would probably be like, yeah, go ahead, do that. So, we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah,
I'm trying to be optimistic.
Iraq is a mess.
Yeah.
They're about to lose it again, whatever is happening over there.
What's
Yeah.
happening in Mosul? No, they haven't covered that. And see,
I'm sure it's not good. I mean, this is the place where they're trying to contain all the fighting. I think to this area.
Yeah.
And then you've got Bashar Assad in Syria, and you've got ISIS. You've got we're funding. It seems like we're funding both sides of this.
Well, that's what happens.
And right, so how
terrible.
can right? So how can
well, the WikiLeaks said it was the Saudis and and Qatar that were actually funding ISIS, financially funding ISIS. And Hillary was aware of it because there was a response.
Yeah.
There was a specific response and reference to the fact that they were funding
I
it.
believe we're funding some groups that are sympathetic to ISIS in Syria.
I'm not
to
saying
oppose Assad.
Right. I'm not saying I believe that's true also, but I'm just saying it's.
And it all came right out of here. If you go to ISIS, if you go Al Qaeda, and the Mujahideen, was it
Mujahideen.
Mujahideen, right?
Afghanistan,
in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
It all happened because of us.
Oh yeah.
We were funding Al Qaeda to fight the Russians. The Al Qaeda, Osama.
When was that? When was that? Do you remember the years?
Throughout the 80s. at
Yeah,
least,
throughout the 80s, there was an 11-year war with the Soviet Union or Russia.
Yeah, by proxy. Yeah.
I mean, we were funding it. They couldn't have done. They couldn't have been competed with Russia in a battle scene.
Yeah.
Without our military backing. I mean, whatever we gave them, and money. So we kind of funded this. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
All this happened.
I think it's to feed the military-industrial complex. I think it's all intentional. I think they got us bogged down in Iraq
Well, it's
intentionally.
a huge business. I mean,
Yeah,
it's all
it's our
we
greatest
have.
export, yeah.
I'm trying to buy Chrysler parts, and on a '07 Chrysler Dakota, and the part is back ordered, and there's not one in the United States.
Wow.
And I don't know. There's thousands of them that they're waiting for, and no dealer can give me an idea when it's going to come in.
No kidding.
I'm buying windows to do a house.
Yeah.
And I called. I ordered these windows. They weren't the size that was in stock, so I ordered these windows. Anderson windows. Anderson, big, common name. But I ordered a special size because I had more room. So they said, well, we don't have that size in stock, and there's a 5-week back order on the glass because the glass comes from Russia.
Wow.
So I'm looking at this going, no wonder we don't have anything here. We can't get car parts for our own cars, and we can't get glass from our own glass companies.
Well, that's because manufacturing has been decimated
Manufacturer's
over the
gone.
last 30 years.
It's all around the world, but it's not here.
Yeah.
No. Because they don't want to pay somebody, 20-something bucks an hour to do anything.
Right.
They want to pay somebody in China $2 an hour.
Well, that's the NAFTA, and that's the Pacific Trade Agreement, and that's all of these things that have kept we've sold out to China. I mean, we've literally given them all of the jobs, all the medicines made in India. Mm-hmm. I mean, all of our pharmaceuticals. Mm-hmm. All the things that people are supposed to make, and that's where manufacturing is the basis of any economy.
Right.
And we don't have it right now.
No, I mean, that's actually one of the things that, like I said before, that
we will have it, and it's going to come back, and Trump's going to bring it back.
That's why I'm impressed with Trump, because if you look at all the forces arrayed against him, you have the military complex, okay, which isn't the military, by the way. I don't want people to get the wrong idea. I got nothing against the military.
Right.
This is the military complex, the people who are trying to encourage, along with Hillary Clinton and everybody else, to go to war here, send drones there, send missiles there.
Arm these rebels.
Arm these rebels so that they can fight the other rebels who we're arming.
Right.
So you have the military complex. You had the liberal media, which I think is tied to that globalism. You had the globalists. You had the Democrats. A lot of the Republicans at the top of the food chain, which I think are also globalists.
Oh, yeah.
You had the economies of Mexico and Canada, or different groups that were completely opposed to it.
Right.
You had so many groups that were opposed to him winning.
Right.
It was amazing.
That you knew you were in the right. You knew that
That's
he was the right choice.
That was one of the after as you know, I supported Cruz, but that's one of the things that convinced me he's got to be, as much as I didn't like some of the dumb things he said, that he's got to be the right guy. If you've got the people,
Because everybody hates him.
Everybody hates him. He
Right.
must be good.
Right. When you're taking flack, you must be over the target. And that's exactly what he was. He was over the target every day, fighting all these people, and they're throwing all the bombs they could at him.
It's like as a
And his
Christian.
supporters never left him.
As a Christian,
grew.
you're not doing much if you don't got people attacking you.
Right.
If you're not saying things that are provocative or in line with the Bible and Jesus Christ, or advocating that position, you can live safely, comfortably over by the side and sit on your porch and be comfortable. But that's not what you're tasked to do.
Right. You're supposed to do something.
Yeah. If you don't got somebody hating on you, then you're not doing your job.
Right. Right.
So I was very impressed with that. I was just is mind-boggling, especially when you.
Did you see the Saturday the 60 Minutes show?
No, I didn't.
Gary didn't watch it.
I didn't.
But
watch
I
it.
did.
He did.
Awesome.
My wife has a
That
TV,
was-
so I don't get to see TV.
Right. That's a president.
Well,
that's a president.
That's like what I said to you on Facebook.
Right.
If I like what I saw in that interview, he was, like I was telling you before the show, he wasn't throwing insults. He showed some humility. He was sober. He was serious.
Right.
That's the version of Trump that I like.
Right. And he didn't know how much the president gets paid.
Right.
And they told him, and he said, I don't want it.
He'll take $1 if he has to legally.
I have to take $1 legal. I take $1,
Yeah.
but I don't want that.
Well, if he takes $1, that means as a state legislator, I'll be making 100 times more than the president of the United States.
You'll be
Nice.
making more than the president of the United States.
More
right.
than Donald Trump. Think of it that
You
way.
made more than Donald Trump.
Yep.
You're worth 100 times more than Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
Right.
I'm psyched.
Right.
You should build a hotel.
Right.
with all that money.
Yeah, I'll just tell him, hey, I make 100 times more than the president does.
Yeah,
Donald Trump.
That's
so
right.
Right.
I got to be good for it.
I can picture Hopper.
I wish Congress
hotel.
would do the same thing. I wish
Yeah.
our congressional delegation, and I wish all of Congress would do the same thing, and not take the $175,000 salary that they get.
Yeah, most of them are
Per
millionaires
year.
anyway.
Well,
I
they
don't
are
know
when
if-
they leave the Senate.
Yeah, maybe they
Yeah.
weren't when they got in there.
Right. If
That's
they-
actually one of the things that bothered me about Jim Lawrence losing. He was like the only candidate in the race that actually could use the money.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? He's such a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah, he'll this next time.
There is
It's only
next
2
time.
years for them.
He
So,
did better
so-
than anyone expected, right?
Yeah, I think he did great. I mean, he's a up and coming star.
Well, I think if you looked at in the big picture, I think all the insurgent type candidates did very well this year.
Right.
You know, you look at like Ted Cruz. The one reason there was some support for him, not enough obviously, was he was considered by at least me as an insurgent candidate. And I went by that by the same reason we knew Trump was doing the right thing, is he was hated by everybody in the Senate
Right.
because he wasn't playing
Right.
ball.
Boy, how many came out vocally? I mean, we had our own senator from New Hampshire that never endorsed him, only supported him once.
Right.
And I was actually a little. I was upset the night at the Verizon. I'm sorry, Southern New Hampshire, whatever that's called now, the Verizon Center, the old Verizon Center.
Yeah.
Southern New Hampshire University Center, whatever.
I think so. Yeah.
SNU.
SNU.
Yeah.
SNU
Yeah,
Center.
you're not allowed to call it that. I think it's illegal.
Really?
Yeah.
That's terrible.
SNU.
Yeah.
There's a record of this.
But I was kind of
illegal things.
taken back when she didn't. Not even the night before the election, she didn't show up, and I mean, I unfortunately she
Well, she entirely retracted her endorsement, right?
yes,
Yeah.
and said she was going to write in Mike Pence,
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
which, Jesus, I talk about.
Well, the thing is, I think she's entirely a political animal, and she fell into the trap. The Democrats and the liberal press were attacking her. How can you support him? He said something bad about women, and so she looked at
And I like Kelly. I liked Kelly.
She listened to the
Yeah.
the criticisms. Oh yeah, I can't support him anymore. Then it got close to the election. He wasn't saying as provocative, or there wasn't as much crap about that. And all of a sudden, she's kind of swinging back. I talked to her when she spoke at St. A's against when she was kind of debating Maggie. And Maggie had said that if she gets elected, she wants to repeal the protections firearm manufacturers have against frivolous lawsuits.
Right.
Now, most people probably don't understand because they'll say, "Oh, well, you got to be able to sue the gun manufacturers." Well, what people might not understand is you already can if the product is malfunctions.
Right.
But you can't just because somebody shot somebody with that gun.
Right.
Right.
Which only makes sense. You can't sue Ford because a drunk driver in a Ford ran over your dog.
Right.
You know?
Imagine suing a hammer company if
Right.
you pound your thumb.
Right.
Even Bernie Sanders said you can't sue
Right.
gun manufacturers.
So
it's
that-
crazy. Yeah.
So Maggie at that debate said that she wanted to get rid of that protection so that manufacturers could be sued. I mean, she prefaced it with, "I support the Second Amendment," which is a lie. And then she said about this law, which in effect would have meant that groups like Bloomberg's would have been able to sue the gun manufacturers out of business. And that's what the purpose of it was.
Right.
It had nothing to do with any justness or justice they're trying to achieve. It had everything to do with destroying the gun manufacturing in the United States.
Right.
And then the president would have absolute control because the only other source of firearms is out of country, and he's already regulated that.
Right.
And I told that to Kelly, and she didn't seem to get it.
Right.
It was right after the debate. I said, "You got a hammer with
I
this."
think she was. I think she had gone too far at that point. I don't think she was coming back. In
Yeah.
other words,
But
at
if
that point.
but she could have. if she had done an ad just about that,
If she would have done a lot of other things different, she would have won.
yeah.
And I liked Kelly. I mean, I really like her a lot. In 2010, I was with her all the time when she was campaigning around Goffstown and Manchester. Wherever I could meet her, I was there with her.
You were stalking Kelly Ayotte. Is that what we?
I don't know who was talking
well,
who, but I
yes.
was with her every time she came to Goffstown.
Yeah.
Right. So, but I really like Kelly.
Yeah.
And and I saw that. I remember calling her office and asking them not to support the appointment of Loretta Lynch
Right.
as Attorney General, and that didn't. Nothing mattered.
Right.
And a lot of people felt the same way, but I think a lot of mistakes were made in that election. But to not show up Monday night, the night before the election, with the president front runner,
Yeah.
who has 12,000 people in this auditorium in Manchester,
That's stupid.
I think she easily lost more than 1,000 votes by just not showing up there.
Yeah. Well, she
Well,
she
I was-
miscalculated.
Oh yeah.
Forget her voting record. Forget her 40% with the Democrat voting record. Forget, NDAA, and forget all the other things that she did to discourage voters from from supporting her.
Yeah.
Well, I think
It shouldn't have been a close race.
Well, I think it was her tireless attempt to be moderate, to appeal to the moderate electorate.
And she used to call herself conservative all the time, and she's clearly not.
No.
That's the difference between Trump. Trump told you what he was. I feel this way, I feel that way, I'm telling you this, I'm telling you that. Take it or leave it.
Right.
That's what he was saying to us,
Yeah.
and we took it. Because we just want to know who we're voting for. The worst thing, I would rather vote, and I would never vote for a Democrat, but I would rather vote for somebody that I know where they stand.
Right.
I won't vote for somebody if I don't agree with them, but I'd much rather know who I'm voting for.
Yeah, of course.
And I was one of them. You're one of them. There are several people that get my vote because you say what you do. You say what it is. That's all that matters to me.
Right.
If I don't like what you're doing,
I would much rather vote for somebody who I only agreed with 70% of the time that actually told me what they were going to do.
Yeah. You know that
Right.
integrity.
Than somebody who seems to vote with me 80% of the time, but I never know where they
right?
stand on
Don't tell me
anything.
you're a conservative and everything's conservative and that, when you're really not. And that was the problem. But not showing up on the night before the election, that cost her 1,000 votes. And I think she lost by very few votes.
I don't even know
right?
why
No.
she didn't go for a recount. That seemed kind of bizarre. It was so close.
How close was it? I don't know the actual
It
numbers.
was like
you guys?
1,000 votes. or something.
1,700. I mean, it was definitely within. It was definitely recount.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, maybe she was tired. Maybe she didn't want to go back to Washington for 6 more years. That wears you out. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a tough job.
Yeah.
And maybe she needed. Maybe
She has a family and.
she has a family.
Yeah.
Maybe she needed to give the old college try.
Right.
Because a lot of people got her there.
Right.
And she needed to do the right thing, but losing wasn't necessarily
So anyway,
the worst.
we got to go. But has Trump called you to be his head mechanic at the White House? Or
I was going to apply for the golfing position, so
Oh.
golfing? Yeah.
nice.
so I could play golf with dignitaries when they come to the country,
Do you have?
and I would even let some of them win.
Oh, very nice.
Do you,
Yes.
do you know if I could get a job as like head bottle washer or maybe walk the dogger or something like that? Something I'm qualified to do.
I heard dog walking pays $150,000 per dog,
Nice.
but no cats.
Yeah,
So,
I don't walk cats.
You don't
I'm
walk
sorry.
cats.
I have standards.
yeah.
You do.
Not
for you.
really. No,
Yeah,
I
right.
don't. I just see that.
Yeah, we're talking about telling the truth here, right?
Hey, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Michael.
Yes,
Again.
thank you.
Matt, you're all right.
I try.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.